Hey people, welcome back. In today's video I'll be sharing with you what my first experience was like upon arriving here in the Philippines. If you do not know, I've been living in this beautiful country for 4 years and I've enjoyed every moment of it. Oh wait, I meant almost every moment of it, because I've had my share of bad times here too. But today's video is basically going to be my reaction to the country in general, my preconceived notion before arrival, and what I thought of the country after arrival. If you're new to my channel, my name is Abby and this is Waka Waka. I make vlogs about living here in the Philippines and sewing tutorials since I'm a fashion design student. Do not forget to like and subscribe to see more content that I create. Now let's get down to the video. So my rule of thumb for any travels is not to over research it, because I still want like the element of surprise when I'm visiting a particular place. I mean, I can still do like names of places that I want to visit and also check out like what the locals are recommending. Before my arrival in the country, I decided I wasn't going to do any research about the Philippines because I was going to be here for 4 years and that would be enough time for me to know everything I need to know about the country, the people and its culture. So after my visa was granted, I began to tell friends back home that I would be leaving Nigeria for the Philippines. And the most memorable response that I received from a family friend, and I can still hear her voice saying the Philippines is a dream country, and I was like, what? Yeah, she replied. And from my explanation, she basically told me how she loved the Philippines soap opera and how romantic they can be. Also, she mentioned the way of the life on the island, and then she mentioned Makati. That was where I was like, finally somebody understand where I am going. Before her, I've actually spoken to other people and they were like, where is the Philippines? What am I going to do there? Because most preferred destination for education by most Nigerians include the UK, the US and even Europe. So majority of the people that I told were like, what's in the Philippines? What are you going to do there? So they were a bit iffy about it. And I can still attest to this personally, because even before I started hearing about the Philippines, I never really knew anything about the country, like nada, nothing. Maybe I have probably seen the name of the country, but I never knew anything about the culture, the people, or anything about it at all. So I was as clueless as almost any Nigerian that has never heard of the Philippines. So my flight was from Abuja airport to San Francisco, and after 3 days in San Francisco, I had another flight which was Korean Air, and I remembered being the only black person on this flight, and it was a really long flight. And actually I enjoyed my flight with Korean Air. It was super clean, it was a really good flight. We had a stopover in South Korea for like 2 hours or so, and then finally we flew to the Philippines. For any international flight, before landing you have to fill in the necessary immigration form. So while we were in air, I did that, and then after landing I collected my 2 big bags and I carried my hand luggage and just piled it on each other. I went through immigration to check my passport and my biometric was taken, and in customs in less than 3 minutes I was out of the airport already. Now whenever I share this with anybody, they're like, how is that possible? How can you spend that less time in the Philippines immigration and customs? Because most people that have heard their own particular story of going through the immigration is usually like 20 to 30 minutes. But on that particular day, I noticed that the airport was empty, and I later found out that Manny Pacquiao, the Filipino boxer, actually had a fight that day. So that means that everyone was just busy watching that flight. So I was so lucky to just go through it really fast. I exited the airport and I was picked up. And after that long flight, it was just nice to be out in the open. And the first thing that hit me, like as I got out of the airport, the first thing I could feel was like this warm gush of air. It wasn't fresh, it was warm, okay? And then after that I started noticing like there are loads of taxis outside, families and loved ones waiting for other arrivals. And then we got into the car and we gradually exited the airport. So as we exited the airport, what really caught my attention and what was surprising for me as we started driving towards the city was the building and how tall they were. I mean, where I come from, we have high-rising buildings, but not the way it is in Manila. Like, I couldn't really believe my eyes. I was like, what? Like, what's going on here? Like, didn't anyone give me a memo? But again, this is why I really don't want to over research my travels, because I still want that element of surprise. I just remember, like, I was just staring out of the window and I was trying to absorb as much view as possible. When you hear about the Philippines, usually from what I've heard from people, it's usually like, oh, it's a poor country. Yeah, of course there's poverty everywhere, but like that that belief just flew out of the window for me. After driving for a while and exiting the Skyway, we got stranded in the famous Makati Avenue traffic, and we were there for like 10 to 15 minutes. And then we arrived at the hotel. We stayed at City Garden Grand Hotel. The hotel room that we stayed at actually had the view of Makati. So as we got into the hotel, we went into the room straight up, and I dropped my bag and I opened the window of the hotel room and I just saw this amazing view, because it was already around like 4 p.m. already in the afternoon. So like people were going back home. I just looked from the window and I was like, wow, this is freaking amazing. I was just really surprised by how much people were stuck in traffic and just how busy it was. And then I remember just sitting down on the stool and I had a glass of wine in my hand, and I just watched the traffic just slowly. I just watched the whole thing and just the amount of people on the streets. So for the first week of staying in the hotel, everyone was nice. They would say hello to you, of course. Everything was air conditioned. That was that was the next thing. The taxis, the offices, because we also went to my school to inquire about my admission status. Like, I was freezing, like I was literally freezing my ass off. Even the malls, are even like, come on guys, it's like can I just open the window? That was my thought. I was like, it got to time I was like in the taxi, I was like, cool, I really want to open the window. I need fresh air. They're like, no, don't open the window. It's not allowed. The next exciting thing that really stood out for me was the malls. I had the same reaction about the malls as I did when I first saw the high-rise buildings. Why I actually went to the mall in that first week was because I packed light so as not to have excess luggage. I didn't pack any shoes. So I decided that, okay, I was gonna go to the mall and shop for shoes. Everything was gonna be good. And I got to like 10 stores and they didn't have my shoe size. My feet. Okay. So I have a big feet, and it's like, I think I wear like 9.5 or so. I can wear 9.5 and I think I can wear 10, size 10. So I had difficulties. I was just going from one store to another, and I finally got a shoe. In like few hours that I walked in it, the shoe just broke. So I couldn't really find my shoe size upon arriving here in the Philippines. So this was my reaction to like the first day that I arrived in the Philippines, and this went on for like a whole week of like just wondering how I got here. So thank you guys for watching, and see you in my next vlog. Bye.